Welcome to my channel. My channel is named Seven Restored Through It. It means that I've been through a lot in life, okay? And that's why my channel is named that. I want you to know that I love you and I care about your mental health. Like, comment, and subscribe, okay? And my grandfather and my grandmother came down after my daddy died in 1979, and my grandmother talked it to my mother because I was really a homebody. I stayed at home, and she talked it to my mother and asked my mother, say, "Why don't you just let Lynn go somewhere where she can, enjoy herself?" And then, I was really a homebody. I stayed at home. I didn't really go nowhere. I played in the yard with the children, and sometime when it was snow, we would get this long cart. You remember those long carts that had the buggy like here, it had a shelf here made out of stainless steel and had a buggy down here. We would get on it and push ourselves down through the street and just have fun and enjoy ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And just being a child and enjoying the neighbors and going to each other's house and seeing what was up. And then there's one neighbor I had. Her name was Sandra, and they family would make like tea cakes, and I didn't know nothing about tea cakes. I made them this year out of all the years I'd have been alive, but they real good. I really like them. You know what I'm saying? I like little delicacy food and stuff like that. But get back to the point when my grandmother and grandfather came down, they spent some time with us after my father had passed and everything. Um, and they came down and everything like that. And while they was there, my uncle was in Pensacola. He was taking care of the house and my grandfather and my grandmother's house. And either a chicken or a turkey attacked him, and he had to end up killing the chicken or the turkey. But it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? But I really enjoyed my family, you know what I'm saying, and got to spend time with my grandmother. She would take my grandfather to the store, and he would go in there and shop, and my grandmother and me would sit in the car. And my grandmother would tell my grandfather, "Don't go in there staying all day now. Don't let me have to drive off and leave you." I'm like, "Really, lady?" But that's the way he was. He would go in there and shop, and do things, you know what I'm saying? And my grandmother would sit in the car, and sometimes I would go in the store, but it's okay, it's okay. But I really enjoy being around my grandmother and them and my grandfather, and they was teaching me things, about fishing and farming and different stuff like that. But I really didn't catch the technique, but it is what it is. But now things that you find on YouTube and different people, they teach you how to do stuff like that. But I ain't really in it because everything I touch, it don't want to grow. But it's okay. I'm gonna get there one day. But my grandmother, she was a little short lady. My grandfather, he was like 6'4", 6'7". That's where I get my tallness from. But yeah. But they stayed a little while and everything like that. And then we had a cousin that come stay with us, which was my uncle's son. And he stayed in my room, but he had cirrhosis of the liver where he would, I guess he had drunk so much, he would throw up blood and stuff like that. And that was really traumatizing to me, you know what I'm saying? Because they stayed in my room, you know what I'm saying? I guess they lost their house. I don't know what really happened. But yeah, and by him drinking and stuff like that, he ended up dying of alcoholism. But back in the 70s and 60s, that's what they did to enjoy themselves and have parties and go to people's house and stuff like that. And then my daddy had one friend. He was real big. When he was fitting my daddy's car, it would go sideways like that. And he ended up going with this lady, and he ended up, I guess the man caught them together, and they ended up getting shot and killed. But that's the way they did stuff back in that time, in the 70s and 60s and stuff like that. and that's what ended up happening. But that was one of my daddy's friend, and my daddy he liked it. He had a little in our basement of our house. He had a little music room where he had all his albums and stuff like that, and his music and stuff. He always loved the music, and he had a lot of old Otis Redding, Sammy and Dave, The Temptations, and Marvin Gaye and the Supremes, and back in that era and stuff like that. But yeah, he had all those old records and stuff like that, and that was real nice. And my brother, he has a picture of my father in his music room, and he really loved music. And he even, can you imagine? He even listened to country and western. You know what I'm saying? But he did what he did. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. But that was that. I learned a lot in my lifetime, and I really enjoy seeing things and being around things because it taught me a lot about my mental health and how to deal with stuff that really affect you from a childhood of seeing stuff up into your adulthood. But now I go to Lakeview and talk about the way things affected me, and to live life on my terms and to see life on my terms, and to be around people that really love and care for you is very special, and not abuse you and treat you any kind of way. And it's life. It's life. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not trying to say I'm naive, but I thank God for where I am now, of seeing people that's around me that love me, that been through stuff, and they don't really talk about it, but it's there. But I can understand they don't want to talk about it because of the stigma. Okay, but it's okay. It's okay. But me, I got to get it out to help somebody and to help me heal better in my journey in my life. And my dad, he would even he even did a ham hock sandwich, which I never did a ham hock sandwich, where you let it cook and you put it on bread and stuff like that. But he taught me some things. You know what I'm saying? I can look back and see the things that he have done in his life that he have taught me and I have seen. You know what I'm saying? We even had outside our house, we had a grapevine, and now I just I remember that time. You know what I'm saying? That life. Even one of my grandmother's brother's wife came and stayed with us when after my daddy died, and she took care of me. And she would. I remember her going to chorus to sing in the church and stuff like that, and to learn. She was a real nice lady. You know what I'm saying? And my auntie, she was she was a little short lady, and she had a pretty dark and cold black hair. And her husband, whenever a dog or cat would come on his land or his yard, he would shoot it with a pellet gun. Okay, then. But yeah, I love that life. Seeing, looking back and remembering all that time back then. And my mom and dad, we would go riding. You know what I'm saying, and just enjoy life. But my dad, he was going through something mental health wise that we needed to talk about, but I guess he didn't want to really talk about it. But I can understand why. And men don't really talk about their health, but me, I'm gonna talk about it. You can take it or leave it. Get it out of you. Get it out of you. Because you could. I don't care what people say about you. Get it out of you. You know what I'm saying? Just talk. Just talk about it. You know what I'm saying? You could be helping somebody that you don't even know. And that's what I'm trying to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm helping myself also to get what happened in my childhood out of me and what I'd have been through. Even in my mind and in my heart, I forgive my dad for what he done to my mom, and I also forgive myself for that trauma, you know. But I want you to know that I love you and I care about you, and I want you to get some help, mental health wise. You know what I'm saying? And don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed of it, because there's people out there that need help, and you can help them if you just take the time and look within your soul. You got something in there that need to come out you and help someone. And my grandmother and my grandfather, they was my best friend and everything like that, you know. And I remember doing homework and sitting there with them. And my grandmother, she would cook, and my grandfather would go out there in the yard and have um his little what garden and stuff like that, and just, just enjoy life then, you know. But I thank you for being here for me and listening to my story. And I want you to know I love you and I care about you.